Hiya, I'm going to show you how to finger these chords. I've written them down, I'll send them to you. There's a couple of things I want you to observe because it's important. The first thing is, when you're making a chord, you want to bring your fingers down as vertically as possible so that they don't lean back and mute the strings around them. So you want to be as vertical as you can in the way you finger them, yeah? You want to get them so that they're coming vertically down on the string. You don't want them leaning, otherwise they'll mute the other strings. The other thing is, pay attention to the fingering. A lot of the guys on YouTube do lazy fingerings and they're incorrect, and they won't serve you well in the future. So stick with the fingerings that I'm giving you here, because they're the best way. Okay, the chords that I've written out are the chords that you can play House of the Rising Sun with. They're a good selection of starter chords. It's why a lot of people learn the House of the Rising Sun. It's got one mini bar chord, which is the trickiest, F major. I've also added A major and G, which aren't in the song. But if you can add those chords in as well, it gives us a lot more scope for adding songs, which we could do later. You'll be able to play a blues and rock and roll and stuff like that with 3 chords, with the extra chords I've given you. And G is a very, very common chord. Let us play in a different key. So these are choice chords there, 7 chords. You can play thousands of songs with these chords, thousands. So, right, the first chord is A minor. Your first finger goes on the 2nd string. Your 3rd finger goes on the A string, this 3rd string here, no A. And your 2nd finger goes on the 4th string. Remember to bring them down vertically. You play 5 strings, you don't play this one. The bottom here, you don't play that one in this for the moment. Other songs, but not this song at the moment. Now, the other thing about chords that I wanted to show you is when you're changing a chord, you don't want to be doing this one at a time business. You need to bring them all down together simultaneously, yeah? Otherwise, you can't do this, yeah? You'll never get a clean execution if you bring them down one at a time. So take your time, go slow, get the fingerings right, because if you do it slow and get it right, then you're not learning something bad. And a lot of people start and they'll get the first chord on like this, and then they'll go to the next one and they're all over the place doing them like this, and it's painful. So don't do that. Don't do that. Take your time, move your hands slowly. If you've got a finger down that's going to be used in the next chord, leave it where it is. So in this chord, A minor, we're going to go to C major next. You can leave this first finger down, and this will help you to keep your hand in position as a guide finger for the next one. So you can lift and move these, but bring these 2 down simultaneously like that, yeah? Mind you don't lean them back, because if you lean them back, you'll mute this G string. You will. So a bit of verticality. You do that by putting a bit of arch on your wrist. Get your thumb behind the neck, bit of arch on the wrist, like this. If you're up here like this, and a lot of people tuck their elbows, it's making it very hard to finger the chords. You want your arm to be free, and you want to be able to extend your arm forward and get some arch onto your wrist, because that will let you do the verticality of the chord. So A minor, C, that's the 3rd finger on the 5th string, the 2nd finger on the 4th string, and this one stays on the 2nd string there. The 3rd chord is D major. Now we have to lift everything for this, and this is an awkward kind of change because everything's coming off at once. So C major, then we're going to lift all together and move very slowly, because we don't want to start getting things out of place. You want everything to be harmonious so that they just move together. Yeah, you're trying to train your muscle memory so that you want everything to come down together like that. And do it slowly. When you first start, just do this. Get the movement into your finger. Remember that you've got soft fingers when you first start. It will take some time to get a callus going on your fingers, and you'll get a nice callus, and then the strings won't dig in and they won't muffle, and they'll ring out nice and clean and clear. But that takes time. You just have to put the time in. But slow, careful execution. So A minor, C, D. That's got the first finger on the third string playing that A note. The third finger plays this D on the second string, and the second finger plays F sharp on the first string at the second fret. Okay. The next chord is the trickiest out of the lot that's in this song. It's F major. You have to do a mini bar. It's called a mini bar, and that means you're pressing the first two strings down with this part of your first finger like that. And then when you first start, this is an awkward stretch here to do this, because you're separating these fingers out, and it's really quite awkward to get everything ringing clear. So you need to take your time with it and practice this by yourself. Get this going. Try whatever it takes. On your side, it's likely to be on the side slightly, so that you can tip your hand back, and remember you've got to be vertical. So a lot of people will try and do it flat like this, and then they're going to be running into all kinds of trouble here. They won't get a clean execution. They'll get muffling of the other strings. So a bit on the side, thumb behind the neck again. Keep the wrists loose, give yourself plenty of arch. Don't get tense. You need your arm to be free. You also, the other thing is, look where my arm is. My arm is holding my guitar in place. There's nothing, my left hand's not doing anything to hold the neck in place. It's not propping the guitar up. The guitar's staying there by itself, just by where it is on my lap and my arm going over. That gives me the position. You don't want to be holding the neck up with your left hand. The left hand's got to be free to move around freely. So, not holding it up. And this is going to take a bit of work, this one. Then it goes back to A minor, first chord that we played. Goes back to C. Then it goes to E major there, which is the same, looks the same as an A minor, but it's just a string up, yeah? So instead of the first finger being on the second string, it's on the third string, but the conformity of the chord is the same. Okay, right. Now, when you're playing chords, don't do this when you're first learning. Take the time to just play them, sound the chords one at a time, so you can hear that they're ringing. Because if you've got a bum note, something that's buzzing or something that's, yeah, you need to be able to hear it clearly so that you can amend it. And if you've got a bum sounding chord and it's not executing cleanly, you need to be able to hear it. So I do that with my fingers. Doesn't matter how you do it, but you want to play them one at a time at first, so you can make sure that you're executing cleanly. Now, if you've got muffled notes, don't fiddle around trying to fix it by going like this. Just lift off and replace the chord. Just lift off, replace the chord. you probably have better luck next time. And if you just lift off, you're not putting, you don't, the other thing that people do is press far too hard and they strain their hands and it hurts. So you want to be pressing as lightly as you can to make the chords sound. So I can press hard if I like, but that's not good technique. You want to be pressing as lightly and gently as you can to make the chords sound. Now my fingers are soft. I hardly play these days, and my fingers are soft. You can see the groove in there, and that's what yours are going to look like, because you haven't got calluses, and mine are very soft now. So this is not ideal. When you've got the calluses, your fingers will be a lot harder and they will press down a lot better. But be gentle with yourself here. Listen to the chord. Where you're placing your fingers behind the frets makes a difference to how well it will sound. So you don't want to be here trying to make the note, because the note is formed by the string going over the fret here. So the nearer you are to the fret, the better the sound is going to be, the better the contact between the string and the fret. So you're well off. You can do halfway, but you don't want to be any further than halfway down between. So if you can get halfway, and that comes harder on the F chord, because you want to be as close behind the fret as you can to get the clean execution. And this stretch between these two is quite difficult at first. It's a hard beginner chord. The F major chord is the hardest of the beginner chords. Once you can be proud of yourself when you've done it and made it ring like that, because it's not an easy chord to get. It takes a bit of work and a bit of sweat at first, but be gentle with yourself. Take your time. Remember to bring the fingers down, and if you've got bum notes, don't be straining and pressing on harder, because it's not going to be that you're not pressing hard enough. 9 times out of 10, it's because your fingers aren't well positioned. You've let them slip up here and they're away from the fret, and that makes it so much harder, and you have to press harder to make it ring, and you're just making it harder for yourself. So you want your fingers up behind the fret as closely as you can. Okay? If you've got any questions about any of this stuff, you can ask me. I've done the chords, I've written them out. You're likely to have questions. The X's above are strings that you don't play. So there's little chords like this, they've got X's. They're strings that you don't play. So on this F chord, you're only playing 4 strings. This is your little mini bar here. These notes aren't played, so they have a little X. If you're playing, if it's an open string, if it's played at open, like in the A minor chord, this first string is played here, it will have an O above it, not this one there, a little O, to indicate that you can play it open. You're playing it open, so you're playing the open string. It's called an open string if it's not fingered. I'll make sure they're all done and correct. I'll photograph this and send it to you. Any questions, you know where I am. Enjoy yourself. Don't kill yourself, enjoy it. Enjoy the process. Ta-da.